good, how are you, Dave?
I can't complain. I do, but
There's no point in it though, is there?
Wonder if we have any word on a new airport board member yet.
I don't know, maybe we'll find out tonight. We're ready, right? Yeah. The September 12th meeting of the Gardner Advisory Board will come to order. Would you all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I don't know. Welcome, everybody. I see we have a lot of airport people out here. This is a time that we always ask if there's any public comments. And I'd be surprised if we didn't get some. We always get some. Anybody? Oh, come on. Okay, we'll go on then to the consent agenda, and the first item is approval of the minutes of the September 12th meeting. Do we have a motion here?
I motion that we approve.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? If not, all signify by saying aye.
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 Is any opposed? Nope. So we're good. The next item is to finalize a recommendation to council on changing a refundable deposit to be on the hangar waiting list. Do you have anything new on that?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I have anything new on that. Not sure how much discussion you've had in the past, but first let me introduce myself, Michael Kramer, and I've been appointed the interim director of Public Works and your airport manager. And so this is new position for me beginning last week, and so bear with me as I work my way through it as well. I came here in the city. I'm interim from the utility department, working with utilities and their engineering. My previous position, just so you all know, I came from the city of Hutchinson, where I was director of engineer and worked in public works there and with those projects and with their airports. So a little bit about me. But anyway, on the first item there on the recommendation on a refundable deposit, we did apparently reach out and poll some of those on the waiting list, and about half of them said, yeah, I really think there ought to be a deposit, and then about half of them there was no response, or maybe they didn't really indicate a preference. And then and we did have one in opposition to any sort of deposit. And so I guess based on the discussions you had previously, looks like you had thought, $100 seemed pretty good, and those respondents said anywhere from 50 to 100. So staff is recommending a refundable deposit of $100, and that would either go back to them when their name came off the list, when they said, yeah, we don't want to be on the list anymore, or it'd go back to them as part of their first month's rent if a hangar became available. And
I'm sorry. But how are you going to? Is this going forward with $100 deposits, or are you going to go back through the list?
Well,
Both.
Yes, and I would think that we might want to make it so that there's some sort of time frame for those on the list to make their deposit. Maybe give them 90 days or 60 days and something like that.
So you intend on maybe sending a letter to everybody on the list that the city is now requiring $100 deposit, and you have
you have
Yeah.
until this date, and if we don't hear from you, you'll be dropped off the list.
Uh-huh,
Something like that.
yeah.
And so, our recommendation is to, to present that to the city council. But, I'm obviously open for any discussion.
I think we've been discussing this for over 20 years,
Yeah.
but,
And-
a lot of it was that if we did this, it would take some work from the
It-
board to do that, and, then, to kinda keep track of it, and so.
Yeah, it will take some effort
Mhm.
to take care of and implement and then
Yeah.
track.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, that's all in here. Both existing and future names.
mhm. So, you're looking for a recommendation from us, I believe.
Yes.
And does anybody wanna make that a motion?
I would make the motion to approve this.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion, guys?
Well, about the, has to be in that, 90 days for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah, so, yeah, it's $100, right? And so, yeah, and here what the notes are is a deposit will be required for both existing and future names on the hanger list. So, $100 deposit, I think everybody was good with that. But yeah, that's the only thing that's not on here, and this, yeah, I think 90 days is a little long.
90 days, probably about 30 at the most.
Well, we are coming into the holiday season too,
What about making it, 60 days? That would, if the letters get out by the end of this month or something, that'll give them 2 months.
Yeah, that'd make like
And then if we have the
Jan
new
1, right?
leasing, whenever the new leasing decision's made, when we start, it'll probably go into effect the end of the year, so
Yeah, I'd go for 60 days.
Dave,
it'd work with that.
will the $30 also apply to those who are on the upgrade? Strictly
No.
those that do not currently have a hanger list up yet.
No, 'cause the only way you can be on the upgrade list is you already have to be a hanger owner.
Yeah. Yeah, so,
No, it's only for the new list.
okay, you made the motion,
Right, he said,
and you seconded it, but then we changed it from
Yeah.
90 to 60, so are you okay with the change?
yeah, I move that we accept it as stated with a 60-day grace period to get the $100 deposit, so we accept
You're still good with that, Ray?
You bet.
Any further discussion? Okay,
Will that $100 be managed by the city or the board?
it.
Did he?
city. We don't manage money anymore.
Right.
All in favor then, raise your right hand. That's unanimous. Okay. Now, the next thing we've got here, Mike's an update on the, real property acquisition of Folsom Tract.
yeah, so, they've given the 30-day notice to the Paulsons to, go ahead, and they've got time to remove anything, within that 30-day window. There's some specific items, appliances and such. And then, we'll move forward with, bidding the demo and, doing the demolition. And then after that, we can move forward with applying for the grant to get reimbursed.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's, any other questions or whatever, we can talk to Brad.
Sure. Okay. Anybody else have any questions on the Paulsons? Looks like we're giving Jim more grass to mow. You have to get a bigger mower. You better put in for a bigger mower, Jim.
Saying 60-foot back one.
Okay, the next item on the list is the, update on the airport layout plan. That's Brad.
Okay.
Still an empty slot up here, Brad,
Well, that's all right. This is good. I did have a meeting with Finance Director Laura Gurley with, Brian Faust, a couple days before Brian's last day. I think it was productive. We kinda resolved some things. One thing that she wanted to stress, about budget is, you need to look at it as budget authority, and that's where putting together a budget for next year is a pretty important, part of what goes on as far as what your ability to spend is. City's going through a revise. They did turn in their budget for 2017 to the state. I think they have to do that in August, or they will revise it, probably in late November, early December. I did tell her, talk to her about the Baker property, and that was not included in the 2017 budget, so we need to tell her that it needs to go in there. Now, of course, the council still has the final say on whether or not the money gets spent, but we always need to make sure we're communicating with finance about the projects that are coming up, so nothing gets missed, because if it doesn't get into the budget and you roll through into 2017, then you can't do the projects that you want. So, we need to be clear about making sure that everything is in that budget for revised 2017 budget. We did talk about some of the projects with the hangar doors and things like that. So we went through all those issues, but I don't know if she'll be reissuing another budget for you all to look at. I can ask her that. She did recommend that she would be willing to come to a meeting and kind of walk you through the budget process. So that might be a good topic for next month. So that was the discussion on the finance. That's the last chapter of the master plan, is to put together the capital improvement plan. We did talk about the capital improvements. The financial plan that I gave her had those improvements that were in the last meeting's agenda item. And she's also indicated that the city will take care of the additional overage charges that came up a couple months ago. It's just part of general fund business as cost of doing business type of issues, so that seemed to be a non-issue anymore. So really it's about updating the budget, making sure the projects that you want are in that budget. Ultimately, the council has to approve that and then also fund it, so just because it's in the budget doesn't mean it's gonna happen, but it does give you at least the authority to proceed to some degree. So that's where we're at with the financial plan. The last thing on the airport layout plan, I've got a 90% set. I did give Michael a copy of it. We'll probably be trying to get that finished at the end of this week, submit it. I guess I can send it to you all via email if you want to take a look at it. It's 15 sheets of FAA kind of stuff. I should say, there's a lot of detailed information in there about approach slopes and the airspace and offsets and dimensions and all that kind of information. But we'll hopefully get that into the FAA, and then they can start their review of that by the end of the month. So hopefully we'll have the master plan update in a final draft by the end of November for you to review and approve.
Okay.
Oh, I guess the other thing also, we will be moving ahead then with the demolition of the Paulson house. So we have a set of plans that we'll probably have by the end of the month to have Michael review before we send to the FAA for their...
Have we met with the Bakers? You didn't meet with them, did you, Brad?
I did not. Brian Faust and the community development director met with the Bakers. Apparently the Baker Trust, the bank, and the two daughters, apparently the meeting went well. It was just more of a cordial indication that the city would like to purchase the 17 acres for the airport runway protection zone. I don't know, money was, or dollar amounts were discussed. It was just more of a, we'd like to do this. And that's part of getting, now we need to go back through the budget process and make sure that council's on board with doing that, so.
Okay, have we moved the threshold on 2.6?
Has not happened yet.
that in your ballpark? to
It
do
is
that?
on, and Brian, I know, got quotes to do that, to have the paint moved, 'cause we talked about, you're gonna have to note 'em, the change, you're gonna have to move the paint, and then have to have the state, KDOT, state aviation inspectors come out and verify it's been completed before you can actually call it, totally displaced. I'm not sure why that never moved forward, I know, but it's not happened.
And that's something I plan to look at. Talked to Brad, we met for an hour or so before the meeting here and
Mm-hmm.
kinda reviewed some of the plans and
Yeah.
such, and that's something that, looks like I'm gonna have to pick up the ball and see what it takes to move forward on that.
Yeah. We were kinda in hot water because of the property on the other side. They were wanting to sell it and couldn't sell it, so actually the city was getting into, well, they probably were gonna have a problem if they didn't do something, so I guess we need to finish that. Last time it was real easy. Dick McNett just bought 10 gallons of white paint and went out there and moved it.
Yeah.
What's this one gonna cost, $10,000?
Probably, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Anyway, that's all I've got. If you have any questions, you can send me an email, give me a call.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Brad. Airfield, the grounds, the fuel farm, that's Jim. What do you got, Jim?
Mike, did you have anything?
I've just got a little bit of an update on the hangars. There is, S1 currently empty, and we're working through that process to lease that, if it's leasable. So we're working through that process. There's one empty.
Is that number 39?
Yes, 39, where the tenants have moved to 45. You may have more details on it.
It's ready,
Okay.
I'm not sharing now, if it was ready, I haven't heard back from her.
Okay. And then the fuel update, I will be working through bids for the fuel and getting that out to bid here pretty quickly.
How do you do that? We're a Phillips dealer.
Yeah.
And that's pretty important, I think. It's kind of a status symbol to have Phillips aviation fuel.
Yeah, and
Now, so do you actually go out to independents and?
well, what we'll have to do is follow the city's purchasing policy, and so it will have to go out. More than likely, it will need to go out for a public bid, and so I just got the file on what Brian had started to put together on it, and so I'll be looking at that moving forward. I know that there is some concern about the branding out there. It's my understanding
Well, yeah.
can be changed.
If you're gonna change vendors, you're gonna have to change where the fuel, through the pumps, it goes to Phillips through the company in Colorado that manages the fuel.
Right.
And then it comes back to us that way, so it's gonna be a lot of work on you
Yeah.
folks if you're gonna be bouncing around with different vendors.
Yeah, and so
And-
those are some issues that, yes, I'll have to work through with our, with both our city manager and our
Yeah.
finance department.
Yeah, 'cause it's not the same as just going out to bid to where you fill your trucks up.
Right.
You're gonna have to change your system and change your process, and I don't know, there may be even something
And-
to change on the computers or
And
whatever,
it's
probably.
my understanding too that, some of the vendors can work with that system that's out there and some can't.
Yeah,
And so, the whole issue is something that we're gonna have to work through.
I think you'll find, I've bought a lot of aviation fuel over the years, and I think you'll find that there's not a penny difference probably from one to the other, and there's gonna be a lot of trouble if you start.
Yeah, it probably comes
Change it.
down more to the delivery cost more than anything, right?
That's
Probably.
Well, even if it's put out for bids, doesn't the city have to final say on which ones separate?
I would think so, I would.
Yeah, I would think so.
I mean, if you looked at the Phillips jobber giving you a bid and somebody that's a penny cheaper, well, I certainly wouldn't.
I wouldn't change it, not for that.
And, you know, so we'll definitely have to, you know, take those factors into consideration.
And also, even though it's called auto fuel out there, it's not quite really
Yeah.
auto fuel. They put auto fuel in there as it is in most places.
Yeah, it's
Simply won't work.
ethanol-free auto fuel.
Oh, excuse me.
Ethanol-free.
Yes.
And 98, what are we using, 93 octane now?
91.
91.
Yeah. Yep, so.
Mike, something that I would like to bring up, we have a dedicated tanker for 100 low lead now for Maine. That'd be something that might be good to consider also in David.
Okay.
These guys out here probably wouldn't want too much Jet A or something.
Right.
Because we couldn't even dump it at the back.
Be expensive. Yeah, if they got the wrong kind of fuel in there, the city'd be on the hook for
Yeah, if you
a lot of money.
airplane or train, whatever.
The other thing that I mentioned to Brian was that the Winger delivers Phillips fuel to a lot of the little airports around here. So that, he may bring, 4,000 to us and 4,000 to Paola. And you share the cost to get it here. So there's a lot of things to look at when you're doing this, so.
As of this afternoon, we had 3,705 gallons in the ground.
Okay.
Right? And we have a tube that doesn't take the last 200 gallon out, so obviously,
Sure.
and that's on 100 low lead. And we got about 2654 on the 91 octane.
I hope that you're gonna last the spring on that 91, right? 'Cause now we'd get winter blend if we bought it.
We haven't sold much this past 10 days, right?
Yeah. So,
And on the runways, according to our soil test, tomorrow would be a good time to put some nitrate on. And I have the arrangements for that to be done. So it's got $326 a ton for 46% urea. And I can get that done tomorrow before it rains, which would be a good thing. That's okay with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Do that. We've had some problems with our septic system at the airport. We've had water standing over the lateral field. We had to ask people not to use it Saturday afternoon. And it's working better today since the water has subsided. There was some divots out there, and the city came out and filled those up and reseeded it. That will help, but that does not solve the problem.
maybe the city would like to put us on sewer.
Why don't we set up a time next week when I can come out?
Sure.
You can give me the tour.
I'll do that. Also, if the guys are seeing some barrels missing out there, I'm painting the ends of the runways, the markings for that. And I just take half of them at a time, so I'll have to get the other half done. That'll be done soon. I'm using a paint that I have to have conditions that can't be below 50 degrees for like 48 hours. Let's have airflow across it. Hopefully it'll last longer. It costs $146 a gallon. The guy at the airport that works for the paint company got it for $55 a gallon, so he must be
outside of Marshall. So that's what I've been doing out there. That's the only thing I have, though.
Good. Anybody else got any, thing to ask or questions on this subject? If not, we'll go on to the financials. Anybody got any questions or anything they'd like to ask about the financials? I don't, do we still have a lot of money in the bank? I don't even know if that shows up here.
No.
That was always a big concern of us, this financials are,
Yeah, it just tells you so much on budget.
yeah, I don't,
I noticed on this one, I don't know if I didn't notice it before, but the revised budget, they revised some of those numbers. I don't know if that was on the other ones or not, but I've seen that on the fuel sales, 'cause I know we were way behind on the fuel sales. But now when you look at it under the revised budget amount, they reduced it down. We're 75% of the way through the period, and it looks more in line, so I think they adjusted it down. It was 117,000 in fuel sales, now they got it down to 75, which is at 54% of budget, which is still low. But can't do anything about that.
we, generally would make about 25,000 a year on fuel profit. Some years we'd spend the whole thing on fuel, on pumps or something, but
Yeah, for instance, that card reader is a very pricey thing, if we'd have to replace it with another fuel dealer. Question, that's something I've been curious about, see if you can put in a request for it, but it would be kind of nice for us to know how much, people within the city, I mean, we know how much Jim he's got a budgeted number of hours that he can work on stuff, and he goes above and beyond that. But it'd be kind of nice to know within the city, for airport functions, how many hours people bill the airport each month. Like, how much they bill for renting a hangar, how much have they billed for maintenance, how much have they billed, just so we can get a feel for how that compared to what we might be able to still supply as a volunteer labor here. Keep the airport costs down, if possible, to see, no names, just, by department or by function, how many hours were actually billed to the airport.
And I'll look at that and bring that information back to you.
Okay.
I believe, though, that probably, most of the time, like, Sharon does a lot of work on your minutes and on your, the hangar leasing and, that type of thing. Tim, our engineer, does some work out there, and their salaries and stuff generally, I believe, come directly out of the public works budget and not the airport budget. So, time on that, I don't think is being charged to any of your accounts.
No, I understand now if we're gonna.
But yeah, I'll get you an update and give you a better answer.
Okay. Because like for instance, when they go to this $100 deposit, there's always going to be a chunk of time, step through generating the bills, the letters. The letters will probably have to go out certified mail or something to, make sure that people, they know that they received it. But it was just kind of going forward. It's something before we never tracked because, we'd say we need it done and somebody would do it.
yeah.
And it would be kind of nice to know what it's taking now.
Okay, anything else on the financials? Got anything, Ray?
No.
Okay, well, there's no action for those. We don't approve financials, so, the, next item is the grant submittal. I saw the state's newsletter today online. Had a picture of from the air of the Gardner Airport on it. Have you seen that?
No, I've not seen
It's, and they were touting their grants that they were doing. So, are you gonna
Hopefully that's a good sign.
They had a nice picture of the Gardner Airport. If you need to look at that.
There's also a picture of the Gardner Airport on the Airspace Smithsonian channel on TV. When they talk to the Airspace Smithsonian, they show some pictures, and one of them is Dick and Sharon Stark's 401 airplanes flying over the Gardner Airport. Pictures on that. They don't identify it.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Do you have anything on these grants
I
submittals?
I don't have anything to add on those, no.
I think we were told last month that they had applied for several grants from the state.
Yeah, there's,
Both of 'em are
as
listed
far as
here.
I know, the 2 grants here for
Yeah, okay.
maintenance type activity.
No, they thought enough of us to put a picture of the airport. I guess if there's nothing else on that, we've got the committee member updates. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say or to talk about, or do we have our 5th airport board member?
They were on for the October 3rd city council meeting, which was, there was not a quorum, so that'll happen, should happen Monday night at the next meeting.
Okay. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say or talk about, or? Oh, this is,
What?
we got an audience, so go ahead.
Yeah, I'm curious, last month I asked to get Jim a name tag, he didn't have it.
He sat in the wrong place.
Blaine's got his now, I see.
And the other thing was, there was discussion last month about, hangar checks. You see that there's actually aircraft in hangars. Maybe that been discussed, or whether the council or the airport board intend to relate to the city for hangar checks.
I know we discussed, and that was discussed, I think, with the, I believe the city was gonna come out and do the hangar checks, but
Yeah, I think that was like quarterly is what we talked about.
Yeah, and with the subleasing, there is, part of it is that we want to implement hangar checks. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to happen, who will do it, what kind of time frame it's on, whether it'll be, quarterly or semi-annually, or exactly how we'll go about implementing that. But it is something that, yes, we are looking into how to go about it.
When does that, you guys approved last month, when does that go toward the council?
That's what, it was supposed to be the previous week to this, but now that, all that stuff's got pushed out till
It will be Monday
Monday.
night, the
So
17th.
discussion on all that is came up with on the subway.
Yes.
next council meeting.
They did not have a council meeting on the 3rd.
Do we have anything else? Wow. If I go home this early, the wife's gonna wonder what I'm doing on the other meetings when I don't get home till 9 o'clock. So, I guess I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.